Hey guys, what's going on? So this is the 3.26 Elementalist Golems build. I'm going to be going over the skill tree first, then the skills, items, notes, and I'm going to be bouncing between calculations and the other tabs. But yeah, I just want to get to the brass tacks. So at level 12, we're going straight up north for the Ravenous Horde. At 25, mana reservation and just more mana in general. Enduring Bond is really big for SRS. We will be leveling with SRS, not for the entirety of the campaign, but up until we get our first Clay Shaper. At level 45, we get Golem Commander for +1 Golems, and then we just grab some survivability and minion attack speed and accuracy. Minion accuracy is key. The higher the level of the minion gem, the more accuracy you need for 100% hit. And I think at level 20/21, you need at least 3,700, which isn't really that hard to get, but it's good to stay between 4 and 5k. Also, at level 45, you're going to get Leash of Primordial. This is really the only node you need for your Ascendancy. It's the bread and butter, right? +2 to summon golems and immune to elemental damage, and they are resummoned after 4 seconds after being killed. The only other node you're going to be really going for is Bastion of Elements, and we will be picking up Mastermind of Discord after. So Primordial, Bastion, Mastermind. Matter of fact, at level 73, as you can see, we got those 3 locked in. We're going to be going for Death Attunement and Righteous Army for more regen and damage and attack speed for our minions. And then we are also picking up all of our sockets, jewel sockets. I believe with everything, you get 6 sockets, 5 or 6 sockets. Also, I did, this is a day after, day 1 of League. So first off, I apologize for the late video. I threw this together all within about an hour the other day. I just never got the video out. But I did pick up Might at some point, just to get a Clay Shaper. I'm sitting at, I believe, 134 strength, like right on the dot. So as soon as you can add more strength to gear, then you can drop this, but feel free to pick this up whenever you want, whenever you get your Clay Shaper. But again, make sure you specialize on strength gear, strength belt, strength amulet, stuff like that. And then at 91, we grab, I believe at 73, somewhere around 73, we drop Enduring Bond. Pick up some more mana reservation over here. We pick up some minion chaos resistance, more resistance, and what we're going to focus on is Profane Bloom. Cursed enemies you or your minions kill have 50% chance to explode, dealing a quarter of their maximum life as chaos damage. This is so satisfying. If you've ever played with an explodey chest, if you've ever played with any skill or any effect that just makes enemies either become destroyed or just explode, super satisfying. So you already know how this feels. Then you're going to be going for the Void Beacon for -20% to enemy chaos resistance and 100% reduced life regen. And then Withering Presence for +60 to chaos resistance. And then Unholy Authority for an additional curse. And your hexes can affect hex-proof enemies. The additional curse is nice. It is definitely a quality of life, but the real takeaway here is the hex-proof enemies. I believe that is the majority of the tree. And again, this is not optimized. I'm probably going to be playing around with this skill tree for a little bit. Because I know it's not 100% optimized when it comes to all the paths, right? So just, again, I apologize. Just bear with me. All right. So for the skills, this section is a little messy, but, we'll get through it. From level 4 to 45, SRS, Melee Splash, and Combustion. Now, here's the thing. If you get 3 blue, you're going to want SRS, Combustion, Infernal Legion. If you get 2 blue, 1 red, exactly like I said, SRS, Melee Splash, Combustion. If you get 4 blue, SRS, Combustion, Minion Damage, Infernal Legion. And if you get 3 blue, 1 red, just make sure you have minion damage added. You technically can go minion speed or faster casting. It's entirely up to you. And also at the very beginning of leveling, I always add phantasms because enemies don't target your spirits, they target you. So if you can cast phantasms, then they will just target the phantasms. It's just good really for Act 1. Around Act 2 and up, you can kind of just forget about it. And then for summon carrying golems, for a 4-link, golems, multi-strike, either physical damage or minion damage, and at least Feeding Frenzy. Now, this is my personal preference. Every single minion I typically build, whether it's zombies, AG, specters, golems, I'm typically always finding a way to make my minions aggressive, or I'm slotting in Feeding Frenzy. It's just a personal preference. And again, it depends on colors, right? So if you have 2 blue, 2 red, you're going to want minion damage, multi-strike. I'm sorry. 3 blue, 1 red, same thing. Golems, minion damage, Feeding Frenzy, multi-strike. And obviously, if you have 2 blue, 2 red, it's going to be golems, multi-strike, physical damage, Feeding Frenzy. Sorry, I don't know what my brain was doing. For your 5th slot, no matter the colors, when you go to buy your 5th slot, unless you get lucky and you get a drop, you're going to want to add Impale. Okay? And then for the 6th slot, okay, the 6th, then you are going to want to incorporate Ruthless. So here's the deal, right? If you don't want to spend the money on Primordial Might, which makes your golems aggressive, but you still want that quality of life, Feeding Frenzy. If you don't want to spend the bread and you don't care and you just want raw damage, just go straight down the path. Golems, Ruthless, Multi-Strike, Impale, physical damage, minion damage, right? Just go straight down. So again, you kind of have however you want to really sum it up, right? It's your choice. Ruthless, we will go over. There is technically a way to actually make this absolutely cracked. Technically, I think you might even be able to get away with dropping either minion damage or physical damage and slotting in Ruthless. Once you get into like early maps, depending on the currency and how much I want to say Harmony is, Primordial Harmony. But again, just for a general recommendation for a 4-link, golems, multi-strike, one or two of these damage modifiers, and then Feeding Frenzy. And then again, 5th link, throw Impale, 6th link, slap all of these in, drop one of the melee, one of these damage support gems for Feeding Frenzy, or however you want to go about it. At level 91, pretty much going to be the same thing, right? We are going to be rocking hordes. You could technically rock regular carrying golems, but there's going to be there's a reason why I chose hordes, just because you will be dropping 1 clay shaper at least, and you will be dropping the anima stone. I'll go over the items in a second, but the hordes is just to have a maximum of 3 summon golems. I believe on my last character last league, I went from 6 or 7 physical carrying golems down to 3 or 4, and I was doing more damage. Like, people underestimate chaos damage when it comes to golems compared to physical. Chaos or poison is just superior if you have the currency and the items. It's just superior. But for your 6th link, you're just going to go straight down. Added chaos damage, efficacy, multi-strike, chance of poison, void manipulation. When you get the Covenant, okay, socketed gems are supported by level 29 added chaos damage. Once you get the Covenant 6th link, which is going to be a couple divines, you're going to want to drop chaos damage. Then you're going to want to add Unbound Ailments, okay? 54% increased duration of ailments inflicted with supported skills. All it does is just extends poisons on bosses. It's just good for bossing. When you get the currency to afford awakened minion damage, you're going to drop Unbound Ailments, and you're going to pick up awakened minion damage for more damage and +1 to supported minion skill gems. Okay, but again, if you don't have the chest piece and you're just rocking whatever you're rocking, just go straight down. And then when you get the chest piece, unbound. When you get the currency, awakened minion damage. For Anime Guardian, there's a couple different ways you can go about this. I typically, for starters, usually slot my Raised Spectre and my Anime Guardian together, and I'll just do Minion Life and Feeding Frenzy. Again, you don't need Feeding Frenzy. I just do it because that's what I like. When you get the currency, you can separate your Raised Spectres into a separate 4/3 link. Okay? The main takeaway here, especially for Anime Guardian, is you want at least Minion Life and a level 21 AG. Okay? The more life, the better. So you're going to want that 20. You're going to want that 21. And it's going to be nice if you can get 20 quality just for the increased movement speed. I think it's movement speed. And then you're going to want to throw in power there to increase the minion life. And if you really want to min-max the Empower support, you could technically drop Feeding Frenzy for something else. I'm not 100% sure off the top of my head, but if you really want to utilize Empower, you might as well just drop Feeding Frenzy at that point, and just throw something else that's beefy. Or then you could do Meat Shield if you really want, whatever floats your boat. And then Raised Spectre again. Even Anime Guardian, you could just have it in the 3-link. If you really want, you can kind of mix and choose. The world is your oyster. Do what makes you happy. And then for the utilities, Flame Dash. Some people do Leap Slam and Frost Blink. I just like Flame Dash. Vitality for leveling in early, mid to potential late maps, depending on where my mana is. Vow Summon Skeletons. Basically, if you don't have Vow Summon Skeletons, then just forget about Summon Skeletons. And you can just, when you're leveling, you could just swap Phantasms with Skeletons. But it's really no point running Summon Skeletons if you don't have Vow Summon Skeletons. And it's only really used for dropping on bosses. Just overwhelm the boss, and then, yeah, that's essentially it. I rock Purity of Elements. I know there's a couple other, little tricks and everything when it comes to trigger wands and other, defensive layers. Again, I slapped this together last minute, but I throw Purity of Elements on and I forget about it. It just helps gearing a lot easier, and I'm immune to elemental ailments, which is just amazing. Summon Skitterbots, and then Despair for our Profane Proxy. Okay, so those are the skills. For the items, at level 45, you're just going to be rocking 2 Clay Shapers. At 73, it doesn't have to be exactly at 73. You could be level 90 and get these, or 85 when you get these. But you're going to rock Profane Proxy in the left ring slot. Your Chilling Skitterbot aura applies Socketed Hex Curse instead. The one thing I will add, actually, I think it's Vulnerability. You're going to want 30% increased. Yeah. Okay. There we go. Vulnerability for physical golems, Despair for chaos golems. Okay. And then what you're going to want is 2 Ghastly Eye Jewels with minion accuracy and blind on hit with accuracy and taunt on hit. Taunt I would prioritize number 1 just because it pulls aggro off of you, and blind just lowers their accuracy. So we're gonna stack Harmony, right? You're gonna want 2 Harmonies or 3, depending if you want to rock a Might or not. Entirely up to you, but at least 2 Harmonies and then the Anima Stone. I'm currently leveling. I'm in Act 6 going on Act 7. I have 6 golems. With the Anima Stone, I should have 7. Okay? Absolutely disgusting. So the trick between Ruthless and 2 Harmonies, Golem skills have 25% increased cooldown recovery. When you play physical carrions, their basic hits is not what does the damage. It is the cleave and it is the Bone Spike Cascade that does all the damage. So if you can minimize that cooldown recovery as much as you possibly can, they will just pretty much infinitely spam their abilities. They will barely basic hit, which is huge. That is where the chunk of your damage... I played Golems for probably 6, 7, 8 leagues. I didn't learn this trick until I went down like a deep rabbit hole on some like niche forum post and some guy that was clearing Ubers with Chaos Golems, right? He was the one that taught me stacking the Harmony trick or the Evanescence trick. For Chaos, you want to go Evanescence. For physical, you want to go Harmony. But that is where we are at. Technically, there really is. It's you can rock Harmony for both, but I think off the top of my head, based off memory, Harmony for physical, Evanescence for Chaos. But I'll explain why when we get to the transition. So yeah, they will cast your abilities constantly. Yeah, 2 Clay Shapers, Taunt, Blind, stacking that, and also Ruthless. It's every third attack. Every third attack deals a Ruthless Blow, 98% more damage, and Ruthless Blows with supported skills deal 98% more damage with ailments caused by melee hits. Oh, is that new? Or has that always been like that? That almost sounds like that'd be good for Chaos. I'm not 100% sure. There's going to be a lot of tweaking I'm going to have to do. There's going to be a lot of experimentation. Again, this is a blueprint. Now, let's go to 91. United in Dream. Minions have 60% chance to poison on hit. And minions recover 10% life on killing a poison enemy. Disgusting. Clay Shaper. You can swap this out for a minion wand, you know, a high-level crafted minion wand or a spirit shield, or you can just leave the Clay Shaper, entirely up to you. The Covenant, obviously, you're going to want this. Profane Proxy. Darkness and Throne. The cool thing about this is you can either get a 1 Chaos 50% increase roll, or you can get anything above that, right? 50% is the lowest this belt can roll. And the cool thing about it is increased effect of socketed Abyss Jewels, right? So with United in Dream paired with 2 perfect chance to poison on hits, and the chance to poison here. Actually, wait. Hold on. Oh my god. I'm not even thinking. Okay, I guess you don't even need it. Oh my god, I was so prepared to literally explain this. Haha. I'm thinking on the fly. Put your 5%, put your taunts and your blinds on here. Two, 4, 6, 8, 10. 100% increased attack speed. 100% increased attack speed. Now, why did I say Harmony versus Evanescence, whatever? Poisons, it doesn't matter if you use abilities or not. Okay? A basic hit physical damage is weak. A basic hit chaos or poison attack is powerful. So when you do physical golems, your basic hits you want to avoid. The abilities is what you're banking on. When you're doing chaos, you want as many basic hits as possible because they are the quickest, and you can have them hit in succession back to back to back to back to back with increased attack speed, which just stacks poison even more, along with the abilities that they will cast. But it's disgusting for single target. Plus, the screens are going to be popping. You're going to be rocking an Explodey chest on your AG, and you're going to be rocking Profane Bloom, making whole entire rooms pop just because of the chaos damage and the curses. So yeah, that is essentially it. Now you technically can rock the anime stone. I'm so sorry. If you're brand new to this, and I'm just saying you can do this, you can do that, you can do this, I apologize. If you are somewhat familiar with minion builds and how they can vary when it comes to links and gem setups, you could technically rock an anima stone, and then instead of Golem of the Hordes, you can just rock a regular carrying golem. Okay, you can just rock regular carrying golem. Entirely up to you. Or Golem of the Hordes, just so you don't need the anima stone and you can just pump out more damage with or without the clay shaper, with or without the anima stone. Okay. I can't believe I didn't think of that. Yes, United in Dream and Chance to Poison. That is 100% right off rip. And then you can put the taunt, and then you can put the blind. It doesn't have to be accuracy. Like, the blind is not necessary. You could add, life. You could do minion chaos resistance. You could do minion cast and attack speed, movement speed. You can do whatever your heart desires. Just regular resistance. Whatever you are lacking, go for it. But I always try to have at least 5% taunt. Okay? And I always try to have 100% accuracy and 100% chance to poison. So every hit is poison. Last but not least, let's wrap this up. The notes: AG, weapon, 2H, limb split. It's basically just a budget kingmaker to a degree. It just gives your AG calling strike for single target. Kingmaker for, best in slot. The body is going to be a rare body. So Crusader mod, chance to explode, life, chaos res, resistance. You're going to want to hover between tier 3 and tier 2. Typically tier 2, when it comes to chance to explode. Tier 1 is like multiple divines. Tier 3 to tier 2 is like 50, 60 chaos. Maybe one divine. I think one divine for about tier 2, and for like tier 3, which is like, 15 to like 20%, 15 to 18%, or 15 to 19%, I think is tier 3. You're looking at like 40 chaos, 50 chaos. But just for quality of life and just for smoothness, you're going to want to sit around 25, 23 and up, 25 and up %. Helmet, Leer cast for 50% increased damage for your minions. Gloves, Gravebind, not 100% needed. Again, you can do rare gloves if you want. Just prioritize life and chaos resistance. And for rare gloves, you can get them corrupted and have vulnerability on hit. That's going to be expensive, but I would recommend rare gloves over Gravebinds when you have the budget. The big takeaway again is life, chaos resistance, and then vulnerability on hit, corrupted. But until then, just slap on some Gravebinds. Boots, Wake of Destruction or Combs boots. I'm going to be rocking Combs boots, or again, rare boots, focusing on movement speed, life, chaos resistance. Okay. Spectres. If you have a preferred setup for Spectres, do you. Whatever makes you happy, makes you happy. What I like to run, one Arena Master and a combo of any three. Pale Sephirim and Demon Harpies. Obtained from Scourge, only use Demon Harpy for physical golems. Pale Sephirims increase all damage taken. Demon Harpies only lower physical damage, physical resistance. Okay. Carnage and Stygian Chieftains, Act 2 to 7, Riverways, Ashen Fields, etc. If there are any other Spectres that you like, slot them in. So I want to say that is potentially everything. We covered the tree. We covered all the levels, skills. I don't think I'm really forgetting anything off the top of my head. This is exactly what I'm following. Like, whatever comes for helmets, whatever comes for gloves, boots, amulets, there's a lot of variety. People have to understand Path of Exile is a sandbox ARPG. Okay? This is just a blueprint. It's not an end-all, be-all, right? Experiment and Google. Google's going to be your fucking best friend. I've been playing this game for going on 11 years, and I still Google a shit ton of stuff. I have to. I just have to. So, especially after not playing for a year, yeah, I'm surprised I even got this far. But anyway, enough yapping. I believe that is everything. I hope you enjoyed the video.